ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਥ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਜੀ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ 7 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 8 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਥਰਸਡੇ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ 10 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਅਤੇ ਸੈਟਰਡੇ ਨੂੰ 2 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 3 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਅਤੇ ਰਾਤ 8 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਈਕਲਿੰਗ ਫॉर ਡਾਇਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ, ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਇਟਸ ਦੈਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਆਫ ਦ ਈਅਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਸਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਈਕਲਿੰਗ ਟੂਰ ਕੱਢਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਡਾਇਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਪਰੈਡ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ। मेरा साथ दिन के कैन हरार ਅਤੇ ਐਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਜੋ ਹਨ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਯਤਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ। ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਕੀ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Ken, we'll start off with you.
Sure.
You are the founder of Cycling4Diversity.
Yes.
Let's, a lot of people know, but I would again like to get this thing repeated from you. What was the purpose, what made you start this Cycling4Diversity tour?
Well, there's many reasons, but one in particular was in 2010 when I couldn't go to a Christmas party because I was South Asian.
Right.
And I decided that work needed to be done to create more inclusive, vibrant communities with each other, interactive. And we know there's still discrimination out there and racism, you know, and but I decided that something needed to be done, and I came up with Cycling4Diversity, and
Right.
2011 was our first ride, and now we're on our 6th annual ride coming up next week.
Right.
And it's grown lots with the support of the community, the support of your show. We have really made a difference, and that's the feedback we're getting constantly on a weekly basis. Ann and I and many others say that, you know what, Cycling4Diversity is making a difference in our communities and our schools.
Right.
About how can we celebrate diversity and embrace each other.
Wonderful. And it's not an easy task. You have to plan and spend countless hours working on this. And what has been your experience, you know, being a part of this team when you have been going around, running around, getting the things organized, meeting different cyclists and talking to them, and then going to different schools and spreading this message? What has been your observation about this?
That we've had a lot of unique people come across our path over the years.
Right.
And you know, I've met a lot of interesting people and learned a lot of interesting stories,
Right.
which have been really beautiful to be able to hear.
And when we talk about planning for such kind of event, you know, it takes a lot of logistics and time and everything. So how do you manage this? Like, it's not an easy task because there are many schools to be covered.
Yes.
Everything has to be managed. How do you do it?
One day at a time, to start with.
That's a great answer.
And you know, a lot of schools want us to come back, so we focus on those schools as well. But this year we decided to take the ride out a little bit further and go to some more rural communities that we haven't actually been to before.
Okay.
So with that being said, we're going to be starting in Hope on day 1 and going to Agassiz and then ending in Harrison. On day 2, we're going to be going to Burnaby, New West, and Surrey, finishing at the Khalsa schools. And on day 3, we're going to be focusing on the Abbotsford Mission area.
Right. So it's going to be a 3-day tour this time.
3-day tour this
Right.
year.
So previously we have found out it is that schools have been a major center where this message has been spread. What's the kind of feedback you were talking before Anne was talking? So the kind of feedback what you get, and what is the idea of going to these places and talking about diversity?
Well, our youth is our future, and that's where it's, you know, we can see a lot of change.
Right.
You know, I encourage everyone, but in particular our South Asian youth,
Right.
to, when you go play sports in your neighborhoods or in your school grounds or in your workplace, really make an extra effort, because the image we have is that our community doesn't mix.
Right.
And that's not just with our seniors or people, our youth as well. So I try to encourage them that we need to make a special effort to
Right.
really reach out and have friends from all different areas, invite them to your homes.
Right.
I'm not sure, Harpreet, do you remember when we were going to Victoria and we did a little bit of a presentation on the
Right.
ferry? Well, one of the parents afterwards came to me and said, you know what you guys talk about is real.
Right.
My daughter is in a classroom and she's Caucasian, and the South Asian kids in her class don't play with her.
Right.
So we need to break that down, and part of it's also parenting as well.
Right.
Parents need to recognize if your kids only have friends from one particular background, we can do better.
Right.
You know, Canada is a place where we all come together and exchange and talk to each other. And we do it in a gentle way. You know, we can't tell people how to live, but we can certainly build awareness. And that's what we do. And you've been part of our team. You're a big player of our team. And that's what we do.
Right. So, and you yourself have seen, because when we interact, and many times in schools, the children were astonished because the kind of talk when people were speaking from the heart, they understood the basic culture, the various cultures, what we were talking about in those programs. So, now, why do you think it is important that our children, like as Ken has mentioned, we should mingle with each other, not kind of segregate, but be a part of the common cultural mosaic, what we are proud of? If this thing is not taught in practice in the schools, then later on the issues what we find out is that people, you know, tend to be aloof, they don't want to mingle with each other. It becomes a big issue for the community as such. So what is your particular feeling? Why is it important that this message needs to start right at the ground level?
The reason why I believe that is because when our children get older, they're going to have to go into the workforce, and they're going to have people of all nationalities. So it's important for them to learn at a very young age that we accept everybody and that we can be friends with anybody, because at some point in your life, you know, you're going to be working with other cultures, and it's important that the children learn that now than having to be jumping into it later in life.
Absolutely. And also, why cycling? This could have been a mobike ride. It could have been in a car or anywhere. Why do you feel that you chose this particular, aspect of having cycling also and also spreading the message of diversity?
Well, back in 2011, when I was coming up with a name, because I wanted to do something special around diversity, I was running names back, Running4Diversity and other names. But cycling is Cycling4Diversity. It was a nice combination of the name, Cycling4Diversity, and I thought cycling was a great way as a team effort to go places. So
one thing is that while this message on cycling and spreading the message of diversity has been done in a big way, your focus has been building, bridges one city at a time. So through dialogue, as you mentioned, you cannot force anyone, but through dialogue. So when you have been going to the schools, what kind of interaction has been there between the youngsters and the participants?
I think there's been a lot of interaction. We make sure that we share our story and we also listen to their stories. Because we're learning too as a team, as a Cycling4Diversity team. We don't have all the answers, but it's amazing the stories you hear from the young kids and some of the challenges that they have overcome or the things they're doing to make our community better. I mean, it's amazing. I think Anne would agree that we've heard a lot of amazing stories. I'm going to share one story if I can. We were, this is a few years ago, I was at a school and I said, what are you guys going to do during Cycling4Diversity week? All the kids put their hands up. And one little girl came up to me and said, Mr. Harar, I'm going to put a button, I'm going to use your button, I'm going to put it on my t-shirt, and I'm going to ride around the neighborhood and say we should all be friends with each other. I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here.
And that's the basic purpose of organizing all this.
That's right. The kids understand what we're doing, and they can, sometimes the kids get it and the parents don't get it, and vice versa too, right? But so it's amazing.
And also, and there have been many instances at many schools, youngsters didn't know anything about us, especially the turban, and they were asking questions about what it is, what does it signify. So basically, when these kind of things are happening, then youngsters have a better vision, they have a better knowledge, and it further helps in creating better citizens. So as you said, this year it's going to be a 3-day long tour. When does it start? It starts from Hope, as you said, but which date? Which
May 25th.
Date? Yeah.
May 25th to the 27th.
Right. What time is it going to start?
We'll probably be starting at about 7 a.m.
Right.
Early start, just so we can do a safety meeting with the team, and then start heading out to Hope and arriving early. So depending on whether the school wants to have the kids outside, then the kids can high five the riders, or then the team can take time to relax for a few minutes before we walk into the first school. Right,
great. And your vision further, how do you want to spread this message? It's been, now everybody knows, everybody waits for Cycling4Diversity week.
Yes.
So what are your major plans now in future?
Well, our major plan right now is to get the ride done. There's a lot of work, and I don't think people realize it's just not a cycling. There is so much planning involved, and people have been very generous and kind and patient with us to get this job done. And it's all volunteer, right? So we put this into our lives. The future, I believe that after the ride's done, I think we're going to take it more on a national, possibly international scale. we have gained a lot of interest from other countries
Right.
to how can they, because the issues are not just local here; it's a worldwide thing too,
Right.
right? And so I think there's a lot of potential, and we've come a long ways in a short 6 years here
Right.
to spread this message, and we're very honored and just to be part of it. And yeah.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you and best wishes for your future endeavors. And I hope and I'm sure this will also be a grand success as have been the previous tours. And congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Harpreet.
Thank you.